Hey guys, I'm going to talk to you today about growing up in Aroostook County. Um, I'm assuming most of the people that are in this class are from Maine. Maybe not. If you're not, growing up in Maine is kind of like an exceptional thing anyway. Mainers kind of have their own language, but then within living and growing up in Maine, the different kind of portions like central Maine and coastal Maine and of course northern Maine where I'm from, or the county. I was born in the county. Based on my research, I've learned that when you travel outside of Aroostook County, your cultural values, lingos, and beliefs are different than even beliefs of other people inside Maine, and especially across the United States. Definitely different culture. I'd like to share with you today some instances of that. But first, I'll start with some background about Aroostook County. If you're not from Maine, um, Aroostook County is the largest county east of the Mississippi, which is I thought was pretty interesting. Aroostook County has a population of 71,870 people. It consists of 6,829 square miles. This is roughly 11 people per square mile. Um, and Aroostook County is 95.6% Caucasian, which, if you live in Aroostook County, is not a surprising statistic at all. Aroostook County natives are often viewed as rednecks, which in many cases is fair due to some of the pastimes we participate in, such as pit parties. And if you've grown up in Aroostook County and someone says pit party, you know exactly what they're talking about. I've used the term pit party in front of a friend of mine from Massachusetts, and he looked at me like, "What are you talking about?" A pit party is literally a party in the middle of the woods, or in some cases in the middle of a potato field. And it's just a big bonfire, and usually high school kids, sometimes kids who are legally able to drink, but mostly illegal drinking of high school students. Many county kids are raised on a harvester, and like I said, saying the word pit party in front of somebody who's not from the county or Maine is I got about the same look when I talked about working on a harvester. Many people have experienced the blurry-eyed 5 a.m. wake up to work on the harvester. It's an experience you never forget. Also, I guess being a county kid, that's kind of like a rite of passage working on a harvester. Um, and like I said, another example is flannel. I think almost every individual, whether or not they wear it or not, has an item of flannel in their closet, whether it be theirs or a grandparent or a boyfriend. County kids and flannel, this is like macaroni and cheese. County people also have many words that are very uncommon. I went to the University of Maine at Orono for 2 years, and my roommate was from Biddeford, and I would use terms that she even had no idea what I was talking about. For example, taking a digger, which means falling down or wiping out or crashing. Using the flush lots of county people don't realize that not everybody calls a toilet a flush. We tend to do that in Aroostook County, is replace verbs with nouns. I mean, replace nouns with verbs. Lastly, upda. We don't say up to, we say upda. If you've ever listened to a Bob Marley skit in your entire life, up to camp is a really common phrase he uses, and people say it. It's not even, it's second nature. There are also a few cultural tendencies that occur in northern Maine that wouldn't occur in Portland or Bangor. No matter where I'm driving, living in Fort Fairfield, Maine, if I know the person, if I don't know the person, if they're just letting you know, hey, you should probably slow down, there's a cop down here at the end of the road, everybody waves to everybody. And I remember thinking that was so funny when I was younger, being in a vehicle with my father. We'd drive by somebody and he would wave, and I'd be like, Dad, who's that? He's like, oh, I don't know. You just do it. You just wave to everybody. Living in Bangor, you don't do that. You don't wave to people you don't know. Other people would be like, why is that guy waving at me? Second is when you're entering or exiting a building, because majority of my friends, even living in Orono, were from the county as well. You know, you always open, if someone's coming in behind you, you hold the door open, and if someone does that to you, you say thank you. My sister's a year younger than me, and when she first came to Orono, she was like, people are so rude here. You know, I hold the door open for them, and they don't say thank you. You know, that's just like a common, and you don't realize how often it does occur. Even with younger kids who are a little bit more rude, they still will hold the door open for somebody and say, or if someone holds the door open for them, they'll still say thank you. Now I'm going to explain a little bit in depth about the harvester. I mentioned that before. That's kind of like a teenage or adulthood still. I'm 21 years old. I still work on a harvester. What working on a harvester is and how it kind of works. So if you don't know what a harvester is, it's a piece of machinery that's pulled by a tractor, and it picks up potatoes that are dug up by the windrower and dumped into rows. The harvester has a big conveyor belt that comes in front of you like this, and normally it's 3 people can work on it, sometimes 4. I think 4 is a little crowded, and you have 2 people or 1 and 2 on each side of the harvester. And coming across the harvester is potatoes, obviously, dirt, rocks, rotten potatoes, and like the tops of the potato plant. If you don't know, which some people actually don't know this, potatoes grow underground, and then there's a plant on top of it, and that dies, and that's the tops, and you have to pick all that stuff up. So when you're working on a harvester, literally what you're doing is picking off tops, rotten potatoes. I found like 2 golf balls. I've seen a license plate, like just random, anything that isn't a potato pretty much gets taken off. I narrowed it down to 4. There are a lot more things you could use, but 4 kind of basic things you should know or have while working on a harvester. One thing you should always do is dress in layers, because if you've ever been to Maine or live in Maine or whatever, especially in Aroostook County, you never know what the weather is going to be like. It can go from being a beautiful, bright, sunny day, 80 degrees, great, to hail. 2 seconds. Especially in the fall time, you can have freezing cold weather for months, and then all of a sudden have a beautiful 50 degree weather day, and it's great. So same with working on the harvester. You get up and you're on the harvester by 5:30. It's freezing cold outside, so you are bundled up. Well, as the day goes on, it's going to warm up, so might want to take some of those layers off. So dressing in layers, always a great idea. Always pack a lunch and or snacks. If you didn't know, when you work on a harvester, you work a 12-hour shift unless something breaks down or it rains, which usually into week 3 of getting up 6 days a week at 5:30 in the morning. You're praying to the rain gods that it rains or that the tractor breaks, because you just want to go home. You always want to pack tissues or handkerchiefs, because you literally get dirt in every orifice. Everybody. You have it in your ears, you have it in your nose, in your eyes, in your mouth. You're eating your sandwich and your hands are dirty and gross, and you don't care. You're like, whatever. So having tissues or handkerchiefs to wipe stuff out of your eyes and nose is always a plus. It's always a good idea to know some like safety guidelines before you work on a harvester, because they're actually not so much in recent years, but over the history of kids working on harvesters, there's been a lot of injuries and even deaths. So it's always really helpful to wear protective eye gear, not just from dirt, but from rocks and things like that, glasses or goggles, whatever. You should also be really cautious about wearing baggy clothing, because many injuries occur from clothing getting caught in the conveyor belts, because there are 2 different conveyor belts, and it's heavy machinery. It's dangerous, and having loose baggy clothes is definitely a hazard. Often when your hands become really, really cold and you have I always wear 2 layers of gloves. It's almost kind of hard to feel because the conveyor belt isn't a solid belt. It's kind of like a rack. It's got, slits in it. So you can be digging in that slit to try to get a rock out, and it's really easy to get your fingers caught or your glove caught up in the conveyor, which is also really dangerous. Yeah, that's pretty. Everything else, as far as, a harvester goes, is kind of common sense thing. When you say that, obviously, common sense tends to not really be that common anymore. But, you just probably shouldn't put your fingers or feet in anything that, could possibly rip them off. So, I know I've just painted a beautiful picture of what it's like to work on a harvester. It really isn't as bad as it sounds. It is very hard work, but it teaches, in my opinion, it teaches you a really good lesson. Lessons. It teaches you, I know by the 3rd week of working on a harvester, the entire time I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I'm in college and I'm going to get a good, education and a degree so I don't have to do this. I don't have to work this hard for my money for the rest of my life. And it also gives you a really good sense of work ethic, when you do work somewhere, when you're not breaking your back, completely dirty, freezing cold, you appreciate, you appreciate even when you work and you make that money, you don't want to spend, it's almost like you don't want to spend it because you worked so hard for it. I mean, that doesn't mean I don't spend it, but it makes you think twice about what you're spending it on. So, although even today, many individuals who didn't grow up in Aroostook County kind of view people from the county as, those crazy people who wear their pajamas to Walmart and don't have any teeth. To me, being raised in Aroostook County has taught me many ideals I feel they're lost in other parts of the country and the world today. I really have a really strong sense of, family. I love my family, and even though I left Aroostook County, I came back. It kind of does that to you. You always come back. And like I said before, working hard, you have a really good sense of work ethic, and people outside of Aroostook County, if you say you're from the county, like, we're kind of known for that. We're known for, being hard workers. And even though many people, when you first graduate high school, you can't wait to get out of here, you eventually do develop a sense of pride from being from Aroostook County. So, I hope this was really informative, and if you've never been to the county, that you come sometime, and if you're from the county, that you appreciate, how I portrayed us and explained some things.